Hey, my friend, in today's video, I'm going to tell you what I believe are the 4 craziest facts about XRP and Ripple. I'm going to explain some crazy stuff. You really don't want to miss this video. You really want to watch it till the end, guys. I'm literally taking years and years of research. I've looked at everything, and I'm taking the 4 top facts that I believe are the most significant out of all of them. And I'm really going in depth to explain to you what they really mean. So I'm excited about this one too, guys. And I really appreciate you being here. Before we start, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Also, one thing I completely always forget to mention is that I did start consultations. A lot of you guys have been asking for those. So I did start consultations. You should find a link in the description of this video or the description of my YouTube. You'll find a link there to book a consultation. I'm not going to do a lot of them just because I'm absolutely swamped trying to get some content for you guys out so that I can help you learn as much as you can, as fast as you can. One other thing I have to add, that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. You have to do your own research and make your own decisions. This is for entertainment purposes only. All right, let's get into it, guys. Craziest fact number 1 about Ripple and XRP. In 1988, there was an article written in the Economist magazine. This was the cover. A lot of you guys have seen this, but I'm telling you, you do not want to miss this video, my friend. So in the Economist magazine, everybody talks about this cover here. It talks about get ready for a world currency, but nobody ever talks about the article itself. What did that article say in 1988? All right, so the article talked about how there was going to be this new world currency, and let's see what it said. I asked Grok 3 to just give me a summary of the article. The article was inside the magazine, obviously, and it was a few pages, and it was very in-depth, but it's very long to read, so I'm just going to give you a summary of the article, what it said. I'm asking the AI to give me a summary. So, the 1988 Economist article, Get Ready for the Phoenix, envisions a transformative shift in the global financial system, predicting the emergence of a single world currency, the Phoenix, by approximately 2018, which is around when RippleNet started. RippleNet itself, not Ripple, but RippleNet. This currency would replace national currencies like the dollar, yen, and D-mark, driven by relentless economic integration. This is very crucial, guys. You have to read this carefully. This currency would replace national currencies, and they would be able to do this by relentless economic integration. Means they're gonna integrate it into everything. What is Ripple doing, guys? What is Ripple doing with RippleNet and the XRP ledger? They are literally integrating it into every aspect of society. They're giving it as much use cases as they can. Keep that in mind, guys. We've got all of their products that they're designing, and they've got interledger teams, and they've got all of the different other teams, and they're doing everything to bring utility to this token so that it can be integrated into absolutely everything, and you can buy it off the exchanges, you can go peer-to-peer, you can pay, you can buy, you can trade, you can do everything with it. So this is what the article was telling, that they were going to be successful, and they were going to implement this new world currency by relentless economic integration, exactly what Ripple is doing with XRP, and groundbreaking technological advancements. What is blockchain? It's a groundbreaking technological advancement, and you're going to see what that groundbreaking technological advancement is in a minute. I'm going to show you the Bitcoin patent that David Schwartz has. Oh my goodness, don't miss this one, my friends. The article argues that the International Monetary Fund could play, they say could, they mean will. The article argues that the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, could play a pivotal role in this transition, potentially evolving into the central authority overseeing the Phoenix. Remember, Ripple's got 50, now I think it's about 40 billion XRPs in escrow, and they have about 1,700 NDAs, non-disclosure agreements with different banks and partnerships and all that stuff, 1,700. Below is a detailed overview organized into key subsections, doubling the length to provide deeper insights into the article's vision, with emphasis on the IMF's potential contributions. So we're going to read right here one of the 3 points. Role of the IMF. In the article, role of the IMF. The IMF is highlighted in this article. The IMF is highlighted as a potential progenitor of the Phoenix governing body. Its experience with mechanisms like the special drawing rights The SDR, which is a basket of currencies, positions the IMF as a natural candidate to develop and manage a global currency, ensuring its credibility and stability. My friends, you have to understand, they created special drawing rights in 1969, but they were not successful. It did not gain global adoption because it didn't get liquidity, it didn't get enough use cases, and it didn't serve as a good cross-border payment solution for the FX market. This is why technically the SDR was not successful. But the SDR was supposed to do exactly what Ripple is doing. So now you see in 1988 here, they're literally planning to redo the SDR. In my opinion. I don't know if I'm going to keep this video up forever, but I created a video on the IMF and Ripple. You definitely don't want to miss this one. I really cracked the code. I don't know if I'm going to keep that video up. I'll try to remember to put it at the end of this video because honestly, I don't know how long I want to keep that video public because for my own safety, honestly. But anyways, it's just my opinion. So that is crazy point number one. We've got an article in 1988 depicting exactly what Ripple is doing today. This is 37 years ago, my friend, not 8 years ago, not 2010 when the Bitcoin story came out, that fake Bitcoin Nakamoto story. I'm going to show you that Bitcoin was not invented in 2010, my friends. So you got to think about this, my friend. What does this mean? You have an article 37 years ago explaining exactly what Ripple is doing. And the IMF was the best candidate to create and manage this new world reserve currency because they have experience in the SDR, the special drawing rights, which never got mainstream adoption, never got global liquidity because the mistake they did is they only gave it to banks. So it never got the use cases and everything. We're going to go number two now. Number two, the holder of the Bitcoin patent is David Schwartz. He's the chief cryptographer, that means the chief technologist for Ripple. He's literally holding the Bitcoin patent in 1989, the year after this article came out. Now, you were all told that Bitcoin and distributed ledger technology was just invented in 2010 when the white paper came out with Nakamoto, the Nakamoto story, saying that we have a new technology and this Bitcoin is being created by Nakamoto. We don't know who he is, what the story was, and that the reason he created Bitcoin is because he wants us to be able to get away from the banks and away from big governments, and so that we can just do peer-to-peer transactions on our own. The banks can't be in the middle, and we get that freedom. We separate ourselves from the banks. In a nutshell, that's what the whole Nakamoto story was. But in reality, my friends, as soon as you do a transaction on DLT, the government can see your transactions forever. Every single transaction that you'll do after that can be tracked, can be seen publicly. So bottom line, once your transaction hits that distributed ledger technology, the blockchain is visible forever. So the Nakamoto story is complete BS. Blockchain technology is actually the opposite of the story that you were told. It doesn't give you freedom. It doesn't give you freedom at all. Now, potentially, if we invest in the right technology, if we invest in blockchain when it's just starting out, that might give us some freedom because we might become millionaires and billionaires, not financial advice. But if we're going to get freedom, it's going to be that way, not by the story that you were told by Nakamoto. So again, craziest point number two about Ripple and XRP that you have to understand is that David Schwartz, literally the chief cryptographer for Ripple, literally holds a Bitcoin patent. And let me show you this right now. So you just Google search David Schwartz Bitcoin patent. Right here is a patent, and it's a patent on distributed computer systems, my friends. And right here, so a multi-level distributed computer system for distributed processing preferably includes a plurality of personal computers. So you read this, my friends, and it's technically the Bitcoin patent. It was awarded to him in 1989 here. And at the time, he was working for the most powerful three-letter agency in the world. You can go see that on the Ripple website under his profile. You can see who he was working for when he was awarded this patent. Inventor, David Schwartz. And this is the company, current assignee, the company that it was awarded to, David Schwartz Enterprises, Inc. So, craziest fact number two. Now we're going to go into the craziest fact number three about Ripple. Craziest fact number three, Ripple is the only distributed ledger technology company on the BIS cross-border right here, cross-border payments, interoperability, and extension task force. This is the BIS, my friend. This is the Bank for International Settlements. It's the central banks for all central banks. Most people, 99.9999% of people on planet Earth have no clue how powerful this bank is. Not even a clue, not even close. You cannot even imagine. And I'm going to show you how powerful they are. And honestly, it makes me a bit nervous every time I show this, but I'm going to show you just to give you an idea, a small idea, just how crazy powerful they are. So again, that's the central banks for all central banks. And Ripple is the only distributed ledger company, the only blockchain company on the cross-border payments, interoperability, and extension task force for the BIS, my friends. You can go here, scroll through here. I'll scroll real quick and you'll see after Ripple right here, it's the only blockchain company. All right. Only blockchain company, my friends. I wonder why that is. All right. Now I'm going to show you a little clip of one of my previous videos about QNT. QNT is the internet of trust. It is literally 1,500 times cheaper than Bitcoin right now. You have to look into QNT. Not financial advice, but I have a playlist on my YouTube. I highly encourage you to watch that as soon as you can. Very entertaining. All right. So this is a video that I did. It's going to show you just an idea of how powerful the BIS is. So let's watch right now.
Billionaires control less than you think. The real power lies with secret societies operating in plain sight. Just look at the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland. This private bank controls every central bank on Earth, yet nobody knows who really owns it. They meet monthly in a circular tower discussing global finance behind closed doors. Last year alone, they moved $5 trillion between countries without any oversight. When I worked in finance, my boss would disappear for these meetings but never speak about them. Now I understand why. Membership requires absolute secrecy. Next time you see the BIS symbol on currency or financial documents, remember that a tiny group of unelected bankers silently shape our entire economic system. And this is just one society among dozens pulling strings from the shadows.
Now let's look at this video as well.
There's this guy, Klaus Schwab, one more time, and what are they really up to?
Yeah, so founded the WF, the World Economic Forum. And I think it's important to understand, too, like where we're at in the world, right? We're at this peak centralization, central planning. I like to say central planning always fails because they don't have enough data. You can't organize billions of people, right? But they're trying to. And so central planning, so it's World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, World Trade Organization, BIS.
What's the BIS?
So International Settlements.
Central bank.
The central bank of central banks, exactly. The World Economic Forum is one of them. The Club of Rome, they're the policy makers. And then they push it down to the next row in the org chart to the policy enforcers, which are the governments. And so the government a few levels down. So it's really a coup of the bankers. And they use this banker, the BIS at the top, push these ideas through the think tanks and then down to the policy enforcers. And then we're down to the bottom of the subjects of all that. And so Klaus is kind of running this. He's sitting on top of the world, hobnobbing with all these people, flying their private jets over to Davos, telling us that we need to cut back on our energy.
Now, we're going to have to listen to this guy a bit. We're probably going to have to listen to him about in different sections of his videos here, maybe for 6-7 minutes, but it's the only way you're going to understand really how powerful this central bank is and what's really going on. Okay, so let me play that right here.
During World War II, you'd think that the BIS would not be allowing the German representative of the Reichsbank to be involved in the BIS, but you'd think wrong. So that what the BIS was during World War II was basically a bank where both sides were financed. And that's why people say that all wars are bankers' wars. And this is what this book proves. We're going to look at the Bank for International Settlements today. I even have a live stream for that topic. I'm going to put it up here so you can go through it. And I was happy to see Catherine Austin Fitts mention the Bank for International Settlements in her interview with Tucker Carlson. I think there's not enough publicity about the nefarious nature of this cartel. Of course, there's always talk about OPEC, that it's an oil cartel, that it's a nefarious institution and run by the Arabs and the Russians. But this one is the granddaddy of all cartels. It's been running since 1930. I spoke just over a month ago about this international banking cartel and the fact that, yes, the head of the snake is the BIS in Basel, Switzerland. So we're going to go through it again, and I'm going to talk about the origins of this bank and how it's evolved. I'm going to prove to you that central bankers who go there every other month for meetings, how they're betraying their own countries. Yes, betraying their own countries. It's a very bad situation, in my opinion, and very few politicians, very few commentators mention this bank, of course. That's probably because it's something you don't do, right? But there's none of that here on this channel. We're trying to expose this nefarious institution. You would think as well that's the only thing they would focus on. the globalists, the people who run the world, and Catherine Austin Fitts, I think she was very careful to mention names. And yes, there are all the obvious names out there, like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and so on. But I agree with her. They could be just fronts for much more powerful entities, like she says, multi-generational entities. And I think she's right. They created this bank by international treaty. I've gone through the original founding statute of the Bank for International Settlements, and that's on their website. The major shareholders were the central banks of these major countries like Italy, France, Germany, Britain, Japan, Netherlands, Belgium, I think. And all these central banks at the time were actually private. So they're not even national entities. They were private entities run by bankers. He allowed the Germans to take basically the gold that the Czechoslovak government had with the Bank of England via the BIS. So that's the kind of entity it is. And what happened at the Bretton Woods conference is that the Norwegian delegation, knowing about all this, Norway was heavily affected by the war. Yes, it was invaded by the Nazis, by Germany, through Sweden. Sweden was supposed to be neutral, right? And that's another story. And the Wallenbergs, of course. But yes, and they realized, the Norwegians, that this bank was behind all the shenanigans during World War II, that we wouldn't have had a World War II if it wasn't for this bank. And they said we should close this bank down, rightfully.
Did you hear what he just said? He said we wouldn't have had World War II if it wasn't for this bank. I don't have the time to chase that rabbit hole, because if I do, you guys are going to think I'm all about conspiracy, because a lot of people think that certain things are conspiracy when they're actually not conspiracy. But anyways, like I said, notice how he said we never even would have had World War II if it wasn't for the BIS. Oh boy. I could go in that rabbit hole, like I said. I know what he means, but I'm not going to go there.
And they said we should close this bank down, rightfully. But guess who blocked it? It was the British delegation under the leadership of John Maynard Keynes, Lord Keynes, the guy who's given us this Keynesian economics, this fraudulent, nefarious economics where governments just keep borrowing and borrowing and lumbering it on the public. Some people might argue his theory was that a country had to keep a balanced budget, but I think he knew very well that once you go down this road, it leads to disaster. That's the BIS there. The other point that I want to make, of course, is that I said to you that any central banker, be it Jay Powell, Andrew Bailey, Lagarde, or the Japanese counterpart, whenever they travel there, every 2 months, they go for secret meetings 6 times a year. They travel under a diplomatic BIS passport. They're not traveling as Americans or French or English. They're traveling as a BISer. Maybe we could call them yesers, like bullshitters, right? That's how they're traveling there. So that's why I'm saying they're betraying. They're like traitors to the interest of their countries. So because the BIS is like a sovereign entity, Catherine Austin Fitts noted, that treaty made it sovereign. It answers to no sovereign power, the BIS. It can hide anything it wants. So that's why the central banks have their accounts with the BIS. That's where they manipulate the currency market, the gold market, probably even the silver market and other markets. No one knows about it. No one can call them. No one can say to the BIS, you have to come to Congress to testify. They're above the law. They are their own law. Of course, they have to respect criminal law in Switzerland, but that's something different.
All right, guys, so that gives you an idea of the BIS. And like I said, my friends, Ripple is the only blockchain company, distributed ledger technology company on the Cross-Border Payments Interoperability and Extension Task Force. This is the task force for the BIS, for cross-border payments. And when they say cross-border, my friends, you need to understand, this is very important. Cross-border makes it sound pretty small. And that's the reason, in my opinion, that they use the word cross-border. It's not about cross-border. It's not like... It makes it sound like it's just about somebody having a pile of money in a suitcase and they're going to cross the border. So let's say I'm in the US and I don't know, I'm going to cross the Mexican border. I'm going to go to Mexico with a suitcase of money. No, that's not what they mean when they say cross-border. Cross-border really means cross-currency. You're going cross-asset. You're going from one type of currency to another. You're going from euro converted to XRP, converted to the US dollar. Or you're going from US dollar converted to XRP, converted to yen. It's your liquidity layer. It's a bridge currency that's going to handle all the money. Any type of asset to any type of asset. Tokenized real estate into the yen, dollar, into maybe tokenized bond. Like, on and on, like it's any to any asset. It's called the Internet of Value, my friend. So cross-border really makes it sound smaller than what it really is. And I believe that's why Brad Garlinghouse always says, oh, we're dealing with cross-border. We're going to fix the cross-border issue. It's not about cross-border. It's way bigger than that, my friend. Way bigger than that. Craziest point number 4. Craziest fact number 4 about Ripple and XRP. Ripple is the only blockchain company on the Registration Management Group. the ISO 20022 governance structure. The ISO 20022 standard is managed by several bodies, including the Registration Management Group. Ripple joined the ISO 20022 RMG in May 2020, become the first DLT-focused company to participate in the standards body. Ripple is at another level. They're not only ISO compliant, they are actually on the Registration Management Group, and they're the only blockchain literally helping to set the standards for the ISO 20022 messaging. My goodness, guys. The Registration Management Group, the RMG, is responsible for managing and maintaining the ISO 20022 standard, which is a global framework for financial messaging aimed at standardizing data exchange for cross-border payment. Securities, Ripple's participation allows it to contribute expertise in applying ISO 20022 to cross-border payments and DLT-based data structures. Role in standardization. Ripple's involvement in the RMG positions it to help shape the future of cross-border payment standards. It's cross-currency, my friend. It's cross-asset. It's going from one asset to the other. They want you to believe that it's only about, you're crossing the border with some money. You're sending money from one country to another. No, it's about converting. It's about having that bridge asset that provides the global liquidity to go from one asset to the other, like I said. And this is going to apply for everything, guys, because everything's being tokenized. You have to understand, everything's being tokenized. And the more they tokenize everything, that means an asset is represented on the blockchain in the form of a token. The more they do that, the more you need a bridge asset, the more you need liquidity in between all of these different pairs that are being created. So this is very crucial to understand, guys, because a lot of people don't realize that. The company leverages its RippleNet platform, which is aligned with ISO 20022 standards, to facilitate interoperability, reduce operational overhead, and enhance efficiency for its over 300 customers, including major financial institutions like MUFG, SCB, and Santander. So right here, the governance structure. So it oversees the overall governance and maintenance of the standard. Ripple's membership. Just keep in mind that the ISO 20022 standard for messaging, and I'm going to tell you why this is so crucial, because it's all about Ripple being successful here. And this standard started in 2004, and I'm going to show you that. This is very important for you to understand this, and I'm going to explain it right now, because I don't want to forget, because this is the most important part. What's happening, this has been planned for years, like I told you. Ripple has been planned for years. But the technology will allow them to settle transactions instantly and provide global liquidity for the world. But in order for that to be successful, in order for it to work, the messaging standard for payments still needs to be standardized globally. Payments, they still need to all talk the same language. And what I mean by that is you have one bank in one country, the message for that payment, when they send a payment, let's say for one country or one bank, they have 6 different lines. So they send a payment to another bank somewhere else, and they have 6 different lines with the description of the payment. So it'll have the customer's name, maybe, it'll have the bank account number, it'll have maybe the institution number and the name of the institution, and maybe the address of the client or of the sender, let's say. And then another bank in another country, their messaging is completely different. Instead of having maybe 6 lines, they have 9 lines. And instead of having the name of the sender or recipient on top, it might be the 3rd line. And then the address of the recipient might be the 2nd line. And then the institution number might be the 8th line. So all of the messaging across the board globally, when banks send payments from one bank to another, internationally especially, they have to have the same messaging format, because that messaging format needs to align. Otherwise, if the transaction settles, the bank doesn't even know where the heck the money came from. It might not go in the right account, might not go to the right institution, because they're not using all the same messaging format. So they started working on this in 2004, in my opinion, because they knew what was coming with Ripple. They know where they want to go, where they need to go. It's all about creating this new global reserve asset that's going to fix the Triffin's dilemma and fix the issue with FX market, global liquidity, and the global liquidity crisis. So it's all about fixing that. But in order to have distributed ledger technology and run everything on distributed ledger technology, you need to have a messaging standard so that the messaging format is all the same across the world. And again, my point, my friends, is they started working on this in 2004. And in my opinion, it was just so that Ripple would be successful, because OpenCoin and Ripple started around 2004. OpenCoin was 2012, I believe. But technically, we see David Schwartz, OpenCoin became Ripple. So OpenCoin, I believe, was 2012 and became Ripple in 2013, I believe. But we see David Schwartz holding the patent for distributed ledger technology literally in 1989, like I said. So you can see that this has started a long time before Ripple was ever created officially. So anyways, let's go back here to see what kind of power this gives Ripple for the ISO 20022, my friends. They're the only one literally on the management group, the registration management group. For the ISO 20022 isn't that interesting. And what does this governance structure do? Standard Evaluation Group provides technical expertise and recommendations for messaging development. It handles operational and technical aspects of the standard, oversees the overall governance and maintenance of the standard. Ripple's membership in this group indicates involvement in high-level discussions about the standard's evolution. And here we see that the Bank for International Settlement in the BIS CPMI panel in 2025, the Bank for International Settlements that I was just talking to you about, their Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure that I just showed you for cross-border payments, the one that Ripple is the only blockchain company on, they're referring to this document right here. This is the Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure, the BIS. This is the document I showed you. I told you that Ripple's the only blockchain company on this task force, the Cross-Border Payments Interoperability Task Force for the BIS. It's the Committee on Payments Market Infrastructure. So here, that's what it's talking about. It's saying that this committee announced the formation of a joint panel in 2024 to facilitate the global transition to ISO 20022. While Ripple is not explicitly named as a member of this panel, which is complete BS, the AI is not even realizing, Grok 3 here, is not realizing that Ripple is mentioned, because I just showed you that it is mentioned. They're referring to this document right here. And Ripple is right here. All right. Well, its existence role in the ISO 20022 RMG and its focus on cross-border payments suggests it could play a prominent role in related discussions, because the AI is not even realizing that Ripple is on that task force for the BIS. All right. So Ripple and Swift interoperability. Ripple's interledger protocol has been approved for use in ISO 20022 compliant environments, indicating potential integration with Swift's messaging infrastructure. This approval, noted on the ISO 20022 official website, underscores Ripple's influence in aligning blockchain solutions with global standards, though it does not confirm a governance or steering role. My friends, that is what I think are some of the 4 craziest facts about Ripple. If you want to take 4 crazy facts out of the hundreds of facts that I could tell you about Ripple, which I will tell you, many of them, I'll probably do another video just saying the top 20, but this is just a breakdown of what I believe is 4 of the craziest facts, like I said. So about Ripple and XRP. So my friends, thank you so much for watching. Again, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so. It really helps the channel, and I appreciate your support so much, guys. I really appreciate all the wonderful comments and the support. You guys are just amazing. It's making this so much easier for me, just seeing your beautiful comments and encouraging words, and just, it's like, I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. Seriously, I'm not just saying that. It's just beautiful, just wonderful. And thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys so much as well. And so gonna wish you a great day, great evening, good night wherever you are, and God bless you so much. Thank you.